All right, guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another podcast episode. Today, we're going to talk about all the fights from the weekend, that including UFC Freedom 250, Bam Rodriguez's amazing win in his third division to become a world champion. We're going to talk about the MVPW card. We're also going to talk about Tommy Fury versus Eddie Hall. We're going to do the breaking news. There's quite a bit to get through, as well as my moments of the week, what's captured my eye this week in the world of combat sports. And then we're going to wrap up having a sneak peek ahead of next weekend's action. There's not a whole lot to talk about, but in a week, there is a world title fight. So we're going to talk about that. Let's get into it. All right, there is a lot of results to get through and a lot of fights. So we're not going to talk in depth about them all. We're going to read through some results, and the big ones we are going to talk about. The first fight card of the week was in Quebec. Leila Boudon defeating Paulina Angel via unanimous decision 100-90 on all three judges' scorecards. As well as the main event, Wilkins Matthew getting a good stoppage victory over Esquiva Falcao in the 8th round. Then we go over to Manchester. We saw Tommy Fury defeating Eddie Hall via a majority decision, 59-56, 58-56, and 57-57. Yeah, look, it was what you expect that fight to be. It wasn't great. To be honest, I thought it was going to be a little bit more entertaining than it was. 6 2-minute rounds. Eddie Hall was on the front foot for the first round and then probably half of the second round, and then was so tired after the second round that realistically Tommy Fury didn't have to do a lot. He was able to box Eddie Hall. Eddie Hall was just completely out of the fight. His best chance was trying to get a knockout in the first round, and Tommy Fury spent the first round and most of the second round running away from Eddie Hall just to exhaust Eddie Hall. And that was basically the fight. I was hoping it would be a little bit more entertaining. It wasn't. It was fast. It was what you expected it to be. I tuned in because I was hoping that Eddie Hall might just land a punch from the gods and just floor Tommy Fury. That didn't happen. Tommy Fury boxed well, and look, for Tommy Fury, as a boxer, he is this type of boxer now. He is not going to be anything but, for me, a entertainment boxer, a guy that boxes content creators, famous people, celebrities, and this type of thing. Eddie Hall, he says he's more than happy to have another boxing fight, but he'd prefer to go to MMA. And I think MMA probably suits him a little bit better because in the boxing ring, it is far too easy to run away like Tommy Fury did. Whereas in MMA, you can grab hold of him and you can do a little bit of different stuff than you can in boxing. All right, let's head over to Arizona, which is the Bam Rodriguez card. We're going to start with Elif Nur defeating Gabriela Tejas. That was via unanimous decision, 96-94 times 3. And Nur defends her IBF lightweight title. Now, this was a very, very difficult fight to score. For me, we watched it live, and when I watched the fight, I thought Elif Nur, although swings manically and misses majority of her punches, she did outthrow, she did outland Tejas. I think they were very similar in the amount of punches, like accuracy, that they actually landed to percentage of thrown. So Gabrielle Tellez can more than hold her head up high. Like, she was so disappointed with the result. She was in tears. You can understand why. At 19 years of age, she was this close to winning a world title. And plenty of people had it a draw. Plenty of people had it to Tejas. It was more what you liked. But for me, I was happy to see Tehran win because I did like the front foot pressure and the constant aggression. Yes, most of it is wasted energy and wasted aggression, but she was still throwing the more commanding shots and she was landing the more commanding shots. Although she might have been missing 15 punches, she was still landing 10 punches, where Tejas was, missing 10 and throwing 5. You know what I mean? So, like, for me, Tehran won that fight. But the more I've watched Tehran, like when she beat Beatriz Pereira last year, it was, wow, this chick can hit. She is a problem for everybody. Then we saw the Taylor Genson one, and it's like, all right, she is very one-dimensional. I hope she changes it because she's not going to get very far doing this. And then she comes into this fight, and I think, all right, this is where we're going to see the changes. And it was the exact same Tehran. There's just no measuring. There's no composure. It's let me go in there. Let me throw my hands wildly. If I'm up against a good boxer, I'm probably going to lose. And that's the truth of it. I think Tehran, Gabrielle Tellez was not supposed to win that fight. She was a very big underdog. She is a 19-year-old with very little experience at the top level, and she came this close to beating her. And I think that tells you all you need to know. Arturo Cardenas finally did what he was supposed to do. He defeats Jordan Martinez via unanimous decision, 100-90, 98-92, 97-93. I'm happy with the 97-93, 98-92. I think 100-90 is a bit stiff on Jordan Martinez. He definitely lost the fight. It was a great performance by Cardenas. He was on the front foot. He was aggressive. He was landing his punches a lot more. But I thought Jordan Martinez, especially in the first half of the fight, definitely snatched himself some rounds. He wasn't, it wasn't that dominant by Arturo Cardenas. I think if you see that scorecard of 100 to 90, it doesn't describe the fight. I think a 97 to 93 is what I scored it, and that is sort of the competitive nature of the fight. But there was no way that Jordan Martinez won it. You know what I mean? Jordan Martinez can hold his head up high and say, you know what, I competed, but he was just outmatched physically and skill-wise from Arturo Cardenas. He outworked him. It was a good performance. Well, what we expected to see from him in the first fight. And the big one, Jesse Bam Rodriguez stopping Antonio Vargas in the 6th round. You know what? I thought the 5th round where he lands that big counter left hand, that was the shot for me that I thought was going to end the night. Like, that was the shot. I called it before the fight started. I said, I reckon that Bam Rodriguez wins this with a big counter left hand. Similar to what he did to Puma, right? That's what I called in the before the fight. We saw it. I'm very surprised Antonio Vargas got up from that one, because the 6th round knockdown, which was at the end of a 4-punch combination, 2 rips to the body, a right to the head, followed by the straight left that gets straight through, lands on the chin, and drops Antonio Vargas. I actually thought, if either one was going to stop Antonio Vargas, it was the big left hand, because that one had a lot more power and a lot more torque on it than what that straight left did. But obviously he was still hurt from the 5th round. He did well to survive that 5th round, because Jesse Bam Rodriguez was hunting him down. And I thought Jesse Bam Rodriguez's performance, it has come under a little bit of, criticism, which is funny. Like, he just became a 3-division world champion, for me, top 3 pound for pound. And on top of all of that, he stopped a world champion in this new division in the 6th round after dropping him once in the 5th, right? Like, that, all of that sounds so good for Bam Rodriguez, but there is more to that fight. Like, coming into the 5th round, I had it 2-2. Some people had it 3-1 in favor of Antonio Vargas. So, it wasn't smooth sailing. He did just land a big counter shot that, you land one of those. I'm not saying anybody can land that shot, but it's one of those shots that, upsets fighters. It's one of those shots that turns the tide. It's the shot that comes out of absolutely nowhere. And it can happen for the underdog. It can happen for the favorite. This time it happened for the favorite, Bam Rodriguez, landing a beautiful counter that we know he can land. But that doesn't sort of take away from the few struggles that he did have in the first 4 rounds, which we are going to talk about. And that's sort of leads us on to what's next for Bam. When you watch that fight for Bam Rodriguez, Antonio Vargas in this new division, I didn't think he was really sitting on his punches. Whereas Bam Rodriguez, a bit of a different way of approaching this fight. He wasn't really throwing many combinations. Everything he was throwing he was sitting on them. Like, he was really turning into every punch, whether it was to the body or to the head. One-off shots, pivoting, another one-off shot, uppercut, bang. Like, everything was really torqued up, trying to put 90, 100% power on everything. Antonio Vargas approached it the way that you really should be approaching a fight against someone like Jesse Bam Rodriguez, that moves so well, that has good footwork, that pivots, that creates angles consistently. And that is, I'm not going to throw anything with 100% power. I'm going to, make sure that every punch that I throw lands at 40% rather than throwing a heap of punches at 80% and missing, right? Because that's where you are going to get counted. Fortunately, he still gets counted, but that was more of a slow, sort of predictable combination that he was throwing, a weak jab followed by not a very strong right hand, and gets caught with a left hand. So for Antonio Vargas, he would approach the fight, all right, I'm going to put 40% on power, but I'm going to keep landing, I'm going to keep moving, I'm going to keep giving something to Bam. Bam's never going to have a moment to rest. Bam's never going to have a moment to have a look at me, because I'm going to consistently throw my hands, and every time Bam hits me, I'm going to hit him back. And it was working for Antonio Vargas. And for somebody that wasn't putting a lot of power on his punches, they were having an effect on Bam Rodriguez. You could see Bam getting pushed back from jabs. You could see Bam not comfortable in those 4 early rounds. Obviously, it all changes when he lands the big shot. But if you're talking about some of those things from Antonio Vargas, like, it was nothing captivating. It was nothing that was really, surprising us. It was just some good work from Antonio Vargas. The problem is created when we look ahead for Bam Rodriguez, which we are going to do now. We all want to see Bam Rodriguez versus Inoue, right? But that's going to be another division higher. If in this division right now, those sort of accurate, not completely being lent into punches from Antonio Vargas, these 40, 50% power punches from Antonio Vargas are, disrupting your rhythm, causing you to bounce back a little bit, whipping your head back a little bit, you're not completely comfortable. How are you going to look another division higher against somebody that hits like Inoue? And that's where the question marks are starting to come up. And when I watch that fight, Yes, he gets the great win against Antonio Vargas. It's a big win. It is a round 6 knockout against a champion in a new division. It's all great, but there were some problems in the early rounds that you say, all right, when you come up against the number 1 guy in the world, right? Antonio Vargas is a good fighter. He's a world champion, but he's nowhere near the number 1 in the world, pound for pound, the monster Naoya Inoue, in another division higher. So coming into fight week, I says if Bam Rodriguez looks really, really good and he wins by knockout, yeah, I just want to see Bam Rodriguez versus Inoue. And he did look really good, and he did get the knockout, but there were some problems, and I'm just not convinced right now that Bam Rodriguez goes up another division and beats Inoue. And realistically, that's what we want to see. Not because we dislike Inoue, we just want to see Inoue tested against a high-level opponent. We don't want a Bam Rodriguez that isn't ready. We don't want a Bam Rodriguez that can't cut it at that weight. It's not what we want to see. If we're going to see that, I'd prefer to just see Inoue versus Junto 2. So if Bam Rodriguez isn't comfortable, if his coach isn't comfortable with how he's working, yeah, I think I'm on the side of let's see that Christian Medina fight, which is the one that they keep talking about. They keep talking about unifying Jesse Bam Rodriguez at bantamweight and then moving up to super bantamweight. It's originally it was I was hearing Takuma Inoue and then Naoya. Now it sounds like no, we're going to unify with Christian Medina on that September card with Canelo Alvarez versus Christian Billy, the Mexico versus the world or whatever that card's being called. So yeah, great. Let's have 2 fighters, right? 2 Mexican fighters. Christian Medina, Bam Rodriguez, up against each other. It writes itself. It'll be a great fight to put on that card. It's just a question of, do we want to see that? And will this fight between Bam Rodriguez and Inoue not happen because he takes the Medina fight? And that's all the logistical things that they need to work out. I'm happy if they have the Christian Medina fight now, right, in September, and then in January, February, they take on Inoue. But it's not a guarantee that Inoue stays at super bantamweight that long. We're already at a tilting point of Inoue moving up. And I think Inoue at featherweight, from what we've seen from Bam, in the very small amount that we've seen him at bantamweight, I'm not convinced that a Bam versus Inoue at featherweight is at all competitive. Because I think Inoue is just going to get better at featherweight. Bam might just be too far out of his depth. And we're going to have to wait and see. Like, at the end of the day, he is a super flyweight fighter. So going up 2 divisions to take on Inoue is one ask. To go up 3 is another. I think we've covered just about everything to talk about Jesse Bam Rodriguez. It was a great finish to that fight. A beautiful left hand to start the rot. And then coming into the 6th round, 4-piece combination, at the end of which a straight left drops Antonio Vargas. And he becomes, like I said, 3-division world champion. And for me, I think he's got to be top 3 pound for pound. Like, everybody's got a different opinion on pound for pound and how you rank it. Some people have outcast Usyk off that one performance all the way out to like 8th or 9th, right? I think it's harsh to do that, considering I also give Usyk the benefit of the doubt, the fact that he is fighting at a heavyweight division. But if you're going off, I guess it just depends how you read pound for pound. If you're reading it off right now, this current mold off their last performance, if everybody was the same weight, who beats who? Well, Alexander Usyk is clearly that far down because it was such a poor performance by Rico, and Inoue clearly goes to number 1 because it was such a good performance against Junto. And I think Bam Rodriguez, 3 divisions, 26 years of age. Can you believe that? For me, top 3. I think in and around, Shakur Stevenson's and Dimitri Bivol still are up there. I think Devin Haney's pushing the top half as well. So it's really everybody's opinion, but I think I would have no problem with anybody putting Bam in the top 3. All right, we took a little bit of time to talk about that, so let's try and rush through some of these other ones. The MVPW card we're not going to really talk about. Tiara Brown defeats Hannah Noel Rapp by a unanimous decision, 99-91, 97-93, 99-91. Of course, retaining her featherweight title. Stephanie Algieri Osorio defeats Evelyn Bermudez via unanimous decision, 99-91 times 2 and 100-90. I didn't think it was going to be. I didn't think it was going to go like that. Let's just say that, because Bermudez was the champion at that point, and although it was going to be a competitive fight, well, I thought it was going to be a competitive fight. It wasn't. O'Shea Jones gets a split draw with Elia Carranza, 96-94 one way, 94-96 the other way, 95-95, getting you a split draw. All right, let's talk about UFC Freedom 250. UFC Freedom 250 at the White House. Unbelievable event. We're going to get to that. Diego Lopes KOs Mean Machine Steve Garcia in round 2. Well, I thought Steve Garcia won the very first round, was looking good. Diego Lopes looked a little bit standoffish. And then coming into the second round, Diego Lopes got on the front foot, started being a little bit more aggressive. And Steve Garcia, we know how he likes to fight, but Diego Lopes was quicker to the punch, lands a great left hand, and Steve Garcia, being the type of fighter he was, realistically should have just tried to hold on for dear life, but he tried to fight on, and he got found out by Diego Lopes. And we're seeing a trend with Diego Lopes now that if he's not in a sort of world title fight, there's clear levels. There is clear levels. He did it to Silva. Whenever, like, Diego Lopes was clearly outmatched in the first fight against Volk, and I thought it was even more comprehensive from Volk in the second one. So Diego Lopes is in and around that world title shot, but then when he drops down, he's clearly above that sort of second tier. He's got to be, in and around interim titles, versing the number 2, number 3 contenders, if not fighting for world titles. And we see that every time Diego Lopes takes a step down, he gets a clinical victory. And this was a clinical victory from Diego Lopes. Bo Nickal KOs Kyle Dukas at the end of round 1. This was an odd fight because Bo Nickal takes him down very, very quickly in this fight, like 10 or 15 seconds into it. He already gets the takedown and he's in top mount. He lands some good elbows to cut the forehead of Kyle Dukas. And then, he was still working on the top. There wasn't a whole lot of action, but he was still working. He was still using his elbows, still throwing a few punches, still trying to progress the position. And then I think it was Jason Herzog that was refereeing, stood him up. I was very surprised. I don't know whether, like, if we just talk about the whole event, like, we didn't see one decision, everything KOs, all exciting fights. We didn't really see any groundwork. Was this Jason Herzog making that decision himself because he didn't see enough? Or was this a preemptive thing to say, tonight is about entertainment. We can't have anything going bad. We can't have boring fights. So we've match made specifically, so every fight is entertaining. Every fight is pretty much a stand-up because that's what we basically saw. There was 2 rounds on the floor, basically. Bo Nickal, the first round between Bo Nickal and Kyle Dukas. Josh Hokit versus Derek Lewis, the first round. That was on the ground. And apart from that, I think everything else was stand-up. Yeah, I'm just reading through it. Everything else was stand-up, apart from a little bit in the main event. But we're going to get to that talk. So in almost all the fights, everything was stand-up, everything was entertaining. So I wonder whether Jason Herzog, because I'm pretty sure, if it's not Jason Herzog, I do apologize, but I'm pretty sure it was Herzog. Did he stand them up because he thought there wasn't enough action, or was he told, if it's getting boring, you've got to stand them up? And I feel like that's what we saw. But Bo Nickal, a very, very good performance. And I think Bo Nickal should do stand up a little bit more. I think he's got very, very good boxing skills. Obviously, he is a wrestler. But I think when you've got hands like Bo Nickal, you can stand up, because Kyle Dukas was supposed to be, equal, if not the more superior guy on the stand up, and Bo Nickal found him out. Mauricio Ruffy dominates Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler was my biggest letdown of the Freedom card. I thought Michael Chandler didn't turn up at all. He looked a little bit lost. He didn't look like he had a clear game plan. He was sort of half-assing takedowns, half-assing punch. He lands one sort of good Superman punch, and that's all I really remember. Mauricio Ruffy, there's still the questions about the ground game, and there's going to be until he can prove that wrong, but this fight here was stand-up. Those spinning heel kicks are brutal. Considering most of them were blocked by Michael Chandler, they were still rattling his fucking brain. Mauricio Ruffy was just too good, and the power and the range is something that is such a gift. Like, he is so big for the division. The fact that he can pick you off from so far away, he's so athletic, and everything has so much torque and power on it. He is a massive, massive problem. But I was disappointed in the way Michael Chandler approached that fight. And I think we are seeing Michael Chandler at 40. That was his career worst performance, in my opinion. And after it, I don't really particularly want to see him in there again, because it was that bad. It was, and it was a type of performance where it looked like the chin isn't there at all, because some of the punches, some of the kicks, like I said, they were being blocked. They were being glancing shots, and they were still rattling his brain. He was all over the place, and the fight needed to be stopped late in that first round. Josh Hokit stops Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis looked so unmotivated. Him and Michael Chandler are the worst two performances. I don't want to take anything away from Mauricio Ruffy, because he did what he had to do. I don't want to take anything away from Josh Hokit. He had a good game plan. Tired Derek Lewis out in the first round by wrestling, come out the second round, and start boxing him. And the 1-2, that right hand especially, wouldn't miss. And Derek Lewis, unmotivated. He just looked like he couldn't be fucking bothered. He looked like he didn't care to be there, which is disappointing. It wasn't really a Derek Lewis performance. He threw a few leaping shots in the second round that were nowhere near its target. He was tired after about 2 minutes of the first round. And Josh Hokit, I said it was a dangerous fight for him. He talks a lot of shit. It can go very, very wrong. And Derek Lewis is that guy that on his night can land a big shot and put you to sleep, whether it's an uppercut, whether it's a big right hand. And Josh Hokit wrestles him in the first round, tires him out, comes out the second round, and just boxes him. And it was that right hand. Like I said, it was that right hand that did the damage. For Hokit now, I think he's ranked 5th. He might be higher than that now. I'm not sure, but he's in and around the top 5 in heavyweight. He's got to be closing in on a shot at the interim title, at the heavyweight title. We're going to talk about where that goes, but Hokit is very, very close. And what I like about him is he's not a big heavyweight and he's athletic, right? Like I think Hokit can go 3 to 5 rounds comfortably, right? We see the athleticism. We saw that spinning heel kick that he threw early in that fight. He's got that athleticism. He's got the speed and he's got power on it. And he's a good wrestler. Like he was an NFL player for quite a while. Like he was in and out of camps doing training trials and all sorts. So he's a very good athlete. And he shows that. The heavyweight division isn't stacked, let's be honest. The heavyweight division is pretty shit at the moment. But Josh Hokit, and you know what? People like him. I don't like Josh Hokit. I think he's annoying as fuck. The Incredible Hulk. I think he's a fucking idiot. But some people like it, and I respect that. I respect the fact that he is somebody that is driving viewership. He gets people talking about the fight. He gets people entertained. He's building up fights. Because a lot of time in boxing, all right, and a lot of time now recently in the UFC, we don't get that. The press conferences are boring. People aren't invested. This guy here, I mean, the Michelle Obama quote itself is just fucking outrageous. Standing at the White House and you're dissing a former president's wife. Like, if you didn't see the clip, I mean, he's there saying some outrageous. Just search it up. Josh Hokit, Michelle Obama. You'll see and hear it. Sean O'Malley stops Ayman Zahabi in the second round. It was a good knockout. It was a very, very good knockout. Like, he lands the left hand first and drops him and then comes over with the right hand as Zahabi's trying to get back to his feet. I thought the stoppage was a bit premature. Maybe the angles are a bit weird because the first one drops him and then the second one drops him a second time. So, you know, it's clear all Sugar Sean's going to do is jump on top of him and beat the shit out of him. So I can understand the referee stopping in. It didn't look like the typical knockout, if that makes sense. Like, Sugar Sean lands the right hand and automatically celebrates, and Zahabi's sort of still got his wits about him. He's still trying to get back to his feet. So typically we see those carried on. We see them allowed to finish that fight. So that was my only thing. I feel like people have varying opinions on that. For me, I expected it to go on, but some of the angles make it look like, yeah, we know what was going to happen next. Sugar Sean looked good. I was a bit confused about Zahabi's tactics in that fight. He was covering up with this weird sort of Philly shell, and all he was throwing was leg kicks. And then there was a quick burst of energy where he threw some big hooks that missed by a mile, and that was about all he presented in the fight. I thought Sugar Sean, once again, was just showing his boxing skills. Great jabs to the body, right? Good combinations up top, and he finds the finish. It was a good performance by Sugar Sean, and finally, I said before the fight, I want to see Sugar Sean find a finish. It's been quite a while since we've seen the Sugar show, right? I think it was Aljo Sterling the last time we saw a knockout from Sugar, so that's a long time ago. Zahabi is number 8 contender. It was a good win for Sugar Sean, and to cap it off with a knockout makes it even sweeter. Ciryl Gane KOing Alex Pereira at the start of the second round. Not how I envisioned that fight to go, not how I wanted that fight to go. As everybody knows, I am a big fan of Sharma himself, but you got to give credit to Ciryl Gane. All right, we all knew that this fight here, this was the closest fight on the card, and we all knew it was going to be the closest fight because Alex Pereira trying to become a heavyweight is a tough ask. All right, and Ciryl Gane, he beats the guys. All right, he's beaten everybody apart from Ngannou and John Jones. So you have to be pretty fucking good to beat Ciryl Gane, and he'll find you out. And he's very, very good at stand-up. He's good at kickboxing. And that's what we saw. We saw a kickboxing match between him and Alex Pereira. I said this yesterday. I'm still sort of on it. Like, the knockout for Alex Pereira, he walks onto a jab and gets dropped. And then there is a lot of controversy about Ciryl Gane because he elbows him and punches him about 9 or 10 times in the back of the head whilst he's on the floor, which that's just Ciryl Gane. We know what stuff he gets up to, eye pokes, low blows, all of that stuff. It's nothing new. They are sort of in the spur of the moment, so you got to sort of take that into note. Alex Pereira's holding on for fucking dear life, and Ciryl Gane's in the heat of the moment trying to find that finish, but it doesn't look great, some of the angles of the amount of punches he puts in the back of the head. But Alex Pereira getting dropped by a jab, right, and it rattles him, there's only going to be one outcome. Ciryl Gane's going to jump on top of you and he's going to beat the shit out of you. And that's what we saw. The decision came at the right time. That last left hand lands right on the cheek and splits his face open. I feel bad for Alex Pereira because, like I said, I think this was a massive opportunity to become a 3-weight world champion. It was a big thing, and I think it's one of those things that if Alex Pereira does it, becomes interim heavyweight champion, gets a shot at the big guy Tom Aspinall. Alex Pereira is already in the conversation for one of the greatest combat sports athletes of all time. So this would have been one of the cappers of that. But Ciryl Gane, I don't think Ciryl Gane just won this fight because he's the natural heavyweight fighter. I think he was just the better kickboxer on the night. Like he used his skills better than Alex Pereira. He was picking off Alex Pereira. He was making Alex Pereira miss. He was hitting him with counters. He was able to walk Alex Pereira into punches. He was using the jab very, very well. The right hand coming over and finding its place. Yes, Alex Pereira's style invites that with the hands low, right? And the jab dropping him. Alex Pereira's probably not been hit with a jab like that in light heavyweight, in middleweight. So there is, other circumstances around it. I'm not solely saying that Alex Pereira is comfortable at heavyweight, but I don't think him being at heavyweight's the reason he lost. And I feel like some people are saying that. I feel like I've seen people saying Alex Pereira only lost because it was at heavyweight. No, I think he was outmatched, outgunned, and outskilled by Ciryl Gane on the night. The heavyweight thing is a component. All right, that jab was a heavy jab, and he did get floored by it. And it is a big step up. And for whatever reason, Alex Pereira put on about 40 pounds in his ass. I don't know what's happening there, but it didn't help. So there are mitigating circumstances, but I think people are taken away from how good Ciryl Gane was. Like Ciryl Gane won the first round against Tom Aspinall, came in here and beat up Alex Pereira. So Ciryl Gane for me most definitely gets a title shot. That's probably what we should talk about now. I saw yesterday Tom Aspinall. I'll play it right now.
Paris in September, eh? I'll do that. I'll do that. Let me know.
So Tom Aspinall seems happy to have that fight in Paris in September against Ciryl Gane, like Ciryl Gane was calling for after his win. And that's the fight. I'm glad to hear Tom Aspinall saying he's ready to fight. I'm glad to hear Tom Aspinall saying he's ready to take on Ciryl Gane and defend that belt. I'm very happy because for a while there we were sort of in limbo land of what the fuck Tom Aspinall is going to do. And I think Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane is still as good a fight as it was in the first place. And I think Ciryl Gane is going to take a lot of confidence from the first round against Tom Aspinall. I think he's going to take even more confidence from stopping Alex Pereira. I think people will be on the hype train of Ciryl Gane. And top all of that off, Tom Aspinall might be all over the place considering how the round one came against Ciryl Gane and the eye thing. I think it's going to be a more competitive fight. And I wouldn't be surprised if people give the edge to Ciryl Gane. All right, if you haven't already seen, I have already made 2 videos talking about Ilia Topuria and Justin Gaethje on the channel, so I wouldn't mind you guys checking those out so this video doesn't get too long, but we are going to quickly talk about it. A great performance by Justin Gaethje. The guy hits so fucking hard, man. And you know what? One thing I didn't talk about in the other 2 videos, which we might as well talk about now, is the size thing. Ilia Topuria, we knew he wasn't the biggest in this lightweight division, right? We knew he wasn't going to be. But fuck, Justin Gaethje looked massive. Like, massive. And if we saw a Ilia Topuria versus Islam fight, like if that fight did actually happen, I feel like we would have seen a very similar thing. I think everybody thought Ilia Topuria versus Islam would be a competitive fight at lightweight, but Islam's fucking huge as well, man. So Justin Gaethje, a great performance. His face, I mean, you just compare the 2 faces and you can see who won that fight. And it's not as simple as that, but it is as simple as that, all right? Justin Gaethje, Khabib is obviously right about how hard he hits. Like, he cut him up with the very first uppercut he threw. Ilia Topuria said after 2 rounds he couldn't see. And after 4 rounds, his corner say, you've had enough, man. But just, you look at him on this stool. Like, what this does to Ilia Topuria's confidence and how he goes forward, because he can't now expect to just march everybody down and walk him down. He's going to have to start using that wrestling ability that he has. He's going to have to start switching it up because he was getting picked off by jabs and getting pushed back by Justin Gaethje. And that's not discrediting Justin Gaethje. I'm just saying the way Ilia Topuria fights, he's not used to that. And he got humbled, man. That's what happened. He got humbled from Justin Gaethje. You couldn't be happier for Justin Gaethje. It was a good performance. I think going into the 5th round, if they had let it go forth, I think Justin Gaethje still wins that fight. Like Ilia Topuria won the 2nd round, and he really needed to close that show. And I think the fact that he didn't close the show was something that he just hasn't seen before. Like Ilia Topuria has stopped everybody. The fact that Justin Gaethje came out for round 3, Ilia Topuria is like, I put all my energy into round 2. I hit him with absolutely everything I've got, and he's still here. And then you get dropped in that 3rd round with a big right hand. To end round 4, when you might be getting back into the groove, Justin Gaethje smacks your eye with an uppercut and then knees you in the ribs. It was a good performance by Justin Gaethje, and that probably undersells it. It was a great performance by Justin Gaethje, a career performance from Justin Gaethje. And Ilia Topuria's run comes to a dramatic end, and it wouldn't surprise me if it is 6 to 12 months before we see Ilia again. He's got to rebuild his confidence. Not only that, he has to rebuild his face, because there's probably 2 shattered orbitals, a broken fucking nose. Like, his face was a disaster after that fight. I can't believe how easily he cut up. And that's now going to be another problem going forth, because those cuts will open up again. That scar tissue isn't going to be that great going forth. He was beautiful before. Well, now he's going to have to contend with massive cuts in and around his eyes. All right, let's get through some of this breaking news and wrap up this video. All right, Boxer have announced a multi-fight deal with DAZN, beginning with Troy Williamson versus Callum Simpson on August 8th. This Boxer deal is now co-owned between DAZN and BBC. I don't know what the fuck's going on there. I do like that it's on DAZN, because I have so much trouble. Like, I have to connect VPNs and all sorts of shit just to watch the BBC events when Boxer put them on. So, you know, at least there's going to be shit on DAZN. I can watch some of it easier. But I don't know what's going on there. I don't know why this BBC deal went for like 2 fights, and now that they've, you know, off-sourced it to another company, are they not making the money? Are BBC not getting the views? I'm not sure. I think a bigger problem that Boxer have is every time that they have been putting on an event, there's been a bigger event on at the same time. That's the problem I think that they're having. They've got to go and fight on a Thursday night, right? If it's on BBC, go and fight on Thursday night, on a Friday night, instead of doing it on a Saturday night when you're competing with all the big dogs. That's what I think the bigger problem is. Michaela Meyer is taking on Chantel Cameron, and Caroline Dubois is taking on Amelia Moore. Charlo likely to face the winner of Tim Tszyu versus Errol Spence, which for me, early doors, is Tim Tszyu. I just don't know what to expect from Errol Spence. But we're going to talk about that fight when it gets closer. Diego Pacheco is taking on Emmanuel Alim, and Andy Cruz is taking on Albert Bell for an IBF title eliminator. The Andy Cruz versus Albert Bell one, I fully back. Albert Bell is 28-0, 9 KOs. I still expect Andy Cruz to win, but he's coming off a loss, so this is the type of fight I expect. Diego Pacheco is undefeated. He ducks Hamza Shiraz, and now we're seeing him in there with Emmanuel Alim, who just lost in a shutout to Lester Martinez. Why? When is it go time for Diego Pacheco? When is it time that we see Diego Pacheco in one of these tough fights? No offense to Emmanuel Alim, but I expected more from Diego Pacheco. I've had people, like, I've been saying Diego Pacheco is overrated for quite a bit of time now. And every time I say it, people chirp in my ear, right? Oh, no, he's really, really good. He's this. Look at how many wins he's got. He's undefeated. And it's like, yeah, but his last 3 fights, he should have stopped basically all of them. He went to a decision them all. And now we get Emmanuel Alim when this guy should be facing people like Hamza Shiraz. And I don't mind Diego Pacheco. I think he has a lot to offer. I do think he's one of this new wave of super middle, but I don't know why he's being catered to this way. I thought at this point in his career, the step up's going to come, and I don't believe Emmanuel Alim is a very big step up, right? I'm not necessarily saying you had to face Hamza Shiraz, but there's other guys. Like, go and face Lester Martinez, the guy that beat Alim. That's my opinion. Look, you might disagree, but I don't fucking care. Tyson Fury walks out at the UFC Freedom 250 card, teases a fight, and announces that he will be promoted solely for the rest of his career by Turki Al-Sheikh. Yeah, there was back and forth. I'm glad I didn't make a video, because it did seem as though he was going to be signing with Zuffa. But it looks as though he's just going to be a Turkey fighter. Because the Zuffa thing was interesting, because that would mean Eddie Hearn would have to work with Dana White to get AJ versus Tyson done. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see when this announcement's going to come. IBF have ordered Sam Goodman to take on Ryosuke Nishida for the interim super bantamweight title. They got 30 days until it goes to purse bids. Most likely it'll end up in Australia. It's probably not going to land on that Errol Spence card, is it? It's too soon. It's a month and a week or so till that. All right, let's get to my moments of the week. What's captured my eye this week in the world of combat sports?
You're ready to quit, Ilia, you little bitch. And this is what I'd do to you. I'd make you fucking quit. You're quitting, Ilia, you little bitch. Never faced any adversity in your life, lad. And now you're facing it and you're fucking quitting like a little bitch. I went 5 with him, lad, and fucking kept biting down on me gummy and swinging.
Tyson Fury wants to referee a fight between Dana White and Eddie Hearn.
All this beef going on with Dana White and Eddie Hearn. I'm backing Dana all the way. Dana to knock his face right in. The posh git. And if he's won, I'll be the referee of the fight. GK all day, every day, let's go. Boom!
Topuria linking up with Volk. These guys have become very, very good mates. And I even saw after the fight, Volk looking quite upset that Topuria lost.
Okay, yeah. Whenever you want to go, just let me know and we do something in Spain. I would love you to. You're still in Spain. We'll do it. We'll do it. It's good running.
Katie Taylor sells out Croke Park, 82,000 seats in 30 minutes. That's mad, bro. That is sick how the Irish are getting behind Katie Taylor in her farewell. Mike Tyson and Kabayel call out Alexander Usyk.
Usyk, we're waiting for you, brother. He needs you, Usyk. Go.
Why you don't pick up the phone? Maybe it's time I talk with my big brother Mike.
Hey, Usyk. I know the situation you heard. This is Germany. Mike is here. What do you say to Usyk, Mike? Come, Usyk, come get us, baby. We need that money, baby. Come get it. Let's go, huh? Let's go. Let's go.
You heard this, Usyk? No more maybes. Let's go.
Dana White and Diego Lopes have a translation problem at the press conference. Dana White obviously doesn't understand English.
Finishes knockout submission. Always I look for this. This happens Sunday night.
Vic Bland's here. My question is for...
Hey, wait a minute. We translating that or what? Where's the translator at?
He's good.
You did?
That was in English.
That was English?
That was English.
Oh, shit. All right.
Hamzat Chimaev and Dylan Dennis start an all-out brawl at the RAF Wrestling. Topuria and Alexander Usyk link up the night before Justin Gaethje versus Topuria. Why Topuria is having celebration dinners before fighting the guys, it has finally come back to bite him on the ass. Sean Strickland causing chaos once again. This guy, chaos just follows him. He was in all sorts during this fight week, at different events, at the Fan Fest, getting into fights with people, fighting fans, running away from people. Like, the guy is just carnage everywhere he goes. I saw this clip between Matty Johns and Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje saying that he puts on 30 pounds after a weigh-in, 14 kilos. And you could see how big he was from Topuria. I can't imagine Topuria is putting on that much weight after weigh-ins. I know lots of people sitting around that, but for me personally, 30 fucking pounds is outrageous. I know they put on a lot, but when he said 30 pounds, I said, surely not, bro. What are you doing to lose 14 kilograms, right? And then put it back on in the space of 48 hours. Outrageous. Look, we've seen the first promos for McGregor versus Holloway.
Joe, Max is my child, brother. Welcome to the Mystic Max era, brother. Welcome back.
Excuses,
Welcome back.
Max is
Mystic Max is here. Return of the Max, July 11th. A bunch of girls is going to get laid on that pretty face, brother. Keep it clean for me.
I'm going to boss his age off me, hands down.
The one thing I did take away from that is not only the shit talk, but McGregor looks so chubby. Like, his face is so fucking round and his neck is massive. And you look at Max Holloway, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a weight problem coming into this fight. I wouldn't be surprised because Conor McGregor looks huge. Like, this fight's only a month or so away. And McGregor looks massive. Obviously, like, yeah, he just looks too big to be facing Max Holloway. I know there's height things involved and everything else, but he looks huge. All right, the last moment of the week, and it is the scenes at the White House. What we saw this weekend at UFC Freedom 250 will never be replicated, can never be replicated, and for me is arguably, if not the greatest combat sports event of all time, and up there with one of the greatest sporting events of all time. I'm not saying it's the number one, but it's definitely in that conversation. I think a celebration to America at the White House, great night of fights. I love the military that they brought in as part of that event, honoring the military, the fan fest over at the Ellipse, the millions and millions of people over there watching. An amazing event, one that cannot be replicated. And you think, you know, when Dana White bought this broke company 30 odd years ago to now fighting at the White House, you got to give that guy credit, because I thought it was amazing. I know a lot of people are ripping in, probably because they just dislike Trump. Regardless of if you like or dislike Trump, that event is a spectacle and a half. The planes flying over during the national anthem, Unbelievable. All right, let's quickly have a look ahead. We're just going to make this quick. Oscar Collazo is taking on Joey Kanoi. I expect Collazo to win. He is, for me, a top 10 pound-for-pounder. He just doesn't get the credit because he fights in that division. Ashton H2O Silva is taking on Jojo Diaz. Jojo Diaz hasn't won. Well, he's won 1 of his last 5. He's won 1 fight of his last 5. And one of those were a stoppage to Oscar Duarte that he lost. He lost to Rocha, he lost to Prograis, he lost to Montoya, and he lost to Duarte. Jojo Diaz, though, saying all that, he's still a test. You still got to deal with him. He was still a problem. I don't think he's very comfortable at the weight. And I expect H2O Silva to win. And finally, Lewis Crocker versus Liam Paro, which take place next Wednesday for me in Australia. Depends where you are around the world. It's an interesting fight. We might make another video talking about it later, but for me, I've consistently said since the fight got announced that I believe Lewis Crocker wins, and I believe Lewis Crocker wins because it's at welterweight. Liam Paro, for me, is a superior boxer, technically is a better boxer, but he looked really, really undersized and outgunned in that fight against David Poppo, and David Poppo is a guy that is not a very big hitter. Like, he has like 5 KOs in his whole career, and he beat up Liam Paro for a lot of those rounds, dropping Liam Paro, making his eyes swell massively. Like, Liam Paro looked like he really struggled with it. And Lewis Crocker hits hard, man. He is a much harder hitter than David Poppo. And that's my worry coming into it. Like I said, I think if Liam Paro can adjust better to the weight, and he shows that in this fight, he should be the better technical boxer and win the fight. But it's always a risk when you can't take the heat and when your power isn't good enough for welterweight either, right? It was working for him at super light, but he wasn't a prolific finisher. And now he's upper division. He's not taking the heat as well, and he's not giving it out. So that is my problem with that fight, and that's why I think Lewis Crocker will win. I'd like to see him at weigh-ins and stuff leading up to it and just see what he looks like ahead of this fight. It might give me a better gauge. He's not a very big dude. I've met him a few times. He's not a massive dude, and yeah, I do have my concerns. But guys, thank you all for being part of this podcast. I feel like it went a little bit longer than I wanted to, and so we rushed the last little bit. But make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out the other videos that I've made. The Instagram's booming, so make sure you head over there. The TikTok's booming. Make sure you head over there. It's all linked, and it's good to engage with the community. So like, subscribe. I'm out of here, guys. See ya.